Yo, yo, it's ODB from OLP. This is issue 110 of Mini Truckin Magazine, February 2001. And you really can't see it here based upon where the label's at, but definitely a lot to talk about. Again, we're rolling into the new year with the last issue. There's a new playlist, so all of the issues for 2001 will be in that playlist if you want to go back and watch those through. This is Tony Mallard's 96 S-10. It was one of one covers for the Club Forever Low. If you've been following these, you know I'll kind of put some anecdotes out. And this is the 25th accredited cover for Wes Allison. This is the 14th cover truck with Colorado Custom Wheels. And more on that in a moment. Now, it is worth noting, too, there is a Dodge Dakota insert photo in the upper right corner. The significance of this is that August 2012, so issue 248, that was the only issue with the Dakota on the cover of the magazine. Pretty crazy, knowing that. Just really awesome mini trucks, mid-size trucks, whatever you want to call it. But you can see there a closer look at the cover. Now, I'll talk a little bit about towards the end the who's in the lead for the wheel. So the cover truck and the wheel manufacturer, that gets interesting, you know, based upon where we're at right now. So stick with me till the end, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Who's in the lead in terms of wheel manufacturers so far. Now, the model is Melony LaRose, the beautiful Melony LaRose. And up until this point, something that's fun fact is 76 issues out of the 110 so far, this is 110, had a model on the cover. So that is one thing that remained consistent. Got to keep in mind, this is also lucky number 13. This is the 13th year in existence. So 88 all the way to 2021. So again, 69%, if you really break it down, of the covers had a model. Now, I do want to remind you guys, if you go to ourlifestylepodcast.com, you don't even have to remember that. You can click the link at the top of the description. If you want to buy some merch, we've got stickers, we've got hats, we've got shirts, all kinds of cool stuff, lots of banners. Check us out, and we appreciate all the support. So we're going to jump in here to this issue, and what you see is another photo here showing Melony LaRose. You can see Texas car here. There is the Dakota, a 97. My buddy had one. My buddy Paul had a blue one. I think it was static dropped, and always cool trucks in my mind. Southeastern mini truck Nats, Garden State Nats, which we've seen in the past as well. So many of you have commented this is kind of the time that you got in to the mini truck scene, which is cool because think about it, that's over 20 years ago. Natural progression, Lance talks a little bit about in his column here, just about going to a couple local shows and just kind of seeing people act a fool. And I think mini truckers in general, you know, we had our place of kind of, you know, having a lot of fun at shows. And then once you get to a certain age, you kind of go, you know, you kind of grow out of the craziness. Although I think we all get a little craziness in us here and there. GM expects Envoy to be the top SUV in class. I always like these things, and Matt Long of Custom Works, of course, he built arguably the baddest one, the green one, after he sold the Blazer. And that thing is still around. Another guy owns it, and it ended up on the cover of Common Treads Mag. I wrote the feature for it. That's not it right there. That's photoshopped, as you would guess. But and that's also the front end. I just thought about it. That's the front end that I ran on my S-10. Something different. Here's Bill Thompson, Wired, Alter Images ad. More color. I always liked the grill on this Sonoma. That Sonoma front end's a little bit more rare. Probably a lot more rare. You really don't see it very often. Here you've got Caddy Hack. Now, I always wanted to have the team over at CGS Motorsports on. I haven't talked a lot about it because I really It's one of my favorite OBS trucks ever built, and he recently was on HRBB podcast, which congrats to him. Maybe I can still get him on, but man, that Wes Allison shoot, that truck is hands down one of the baddest. And if I remember correctly, I forget if it had adjustable suspension there. It might have been, if anything, on shockwaves, but that thing is just a super sick truck, and it's sold. I've got details on that, and it's kind of crazy. That truck is just one of the baddest OBS built, in my opinion. So, you guys know whose truck this is? Shout out to Ronnie Armstrong from Flat Out DVD. We had Ronnie on the podcast. Great dude. And I know he recently went through a surgery when we were at LST. I talked to Chaz briefly, and he mentioned that he had heard that Ronnie was doing pretty good, and I followed some of his posts. I know he's back to work now, but power of medicine. Hopefully the big homie's okay. Shout out to his family. I know Chaz and his wife, they were at LST. They came by, and it's always good times. Super clean. Super clean. And rep at NC. This was in the era when, a lot of this you would see in logos, the NC logo, especially the bag brackets and things like that. You can see it's still not all color. So 13 years in, I thought that would be kind of mind-blowing that would still not be all color, and it's evident here. Of course, with Mike Finnegan being brought on kind of the new year, 2001, you can see doing some tech articles in the Tacoma. Here is a Twisted Concepts. So this was Shane Albright's truck. Not sure if it's still around. But if you look at the rear of these things, man, when they are shaved up and with those fairly, I don't want to say slab side, but, fairly flat in some areas, man, they just look great. I just don't think they get the credit that they're due, as evident with only one being on the cover technically. Now, granted, this one was an insert photo if you kind of slice it that way, but certainly Shane built a badass truck, suicide doors, tweed, billet, all inside the bed done. Definitely awesome. Sign me up. Are you twisted? Pretty cool tag there. If you like what we're doing, leave a comment. I continue to see the comments bump up, and many of you, and I know this has happened to me, you end up watching what's on your home feed of YouTube, and you don't even realize that you're not subscribed to a channel. That dawned on me the other day. I'm watching someone's videos, and I'm like, man, I'm not even subscribed. How is that possible? But definitely subscribe. It helps the algorithms, leaving comments, and things like that. Watching it, further through, not clicking out of it right when it starts. That helps tremendously. This was Ryan No's 95 S-10. Super sick. In the era when, caddy taillights were just plentiful. You could see there the front. I had at one time before my truck got rebuilt, I had Matt had put the 98 S-10 bumper fascia on. You got the Phantom grille, the hood cowl, bed cut out nice and clean. Super awesome. This thing is crazy. Butch Miller's 87 Volvo. And we know that Lance kind of ran some things that were a little bit different. And that was cool. Sport compacts, I don't know that it's necessarily that. But certainly I'm sure the dude was super excited. And no harm, no foul running something like that, I guess, right? The Southeastern Mini Truckin National. So back in the day when the naming convention of these shows got a little confusing, but not Mini Nats, but Southeastern Mini Truckin Nationals. You can see Finnegan shot it, and we see Sport Compact. I think, was this Jeremy's car? Jeremy LeBlanc? I can't tell. I want to say that it is. This thing was super clean. S10 long bed. I think we'll see another photo of it. I got a chance to see this Toyota Indy Truck Bash. This thing was nuts with the paint. And pretty cool NC member there. You can see the logo barely on the windshield. This S10 was always different with the front air dam deal and the hood. The custom shop, I think, did this one that we would see, I think, in Sport Truck, maybe on the cover. I think featured in Sport Truck. Again, another Dakota. My buddy Paul, he had one that was blue, lowered on center lines, and it was dope truck. Some more good stuff. Again, this Blazer we'd see a lot. There's the Amigo, the long bed Mafia S-10, right? Long bed. Looks like an Integra, the Mighty Max. Well, I got a chance to see this one. I've posted photos in the past of it with the roll pan kind of ripped off there. Acro. Dimes for days. Here's the Ford Ranger we saw recently. And old school Ranger. A lot of paint. It's kind of crazy when you think back to some of these shows and how we just, I don't know, we kind of look back and go, man, we miss the good old days, you know, but the good old days can still happen. Yeah, here it is. Freshly completed, incredible creation from John Wargo, the custom shop. That thing is such a nice S10. I always like that thing. Here's the shaved up one. You can see the shaved body line. Here's, speaking of Matt Long, there was his Blazer. Don't know whatever happened to this thing. I don't think anybody really knows. I'd love that if it was still out there, and that looks like Jeremy's car. Jeremy's got the rodeo now. That looks like it. I'm pretty sure it is. Again, Ranger, we saw that thing recently. This thing kind of gives the vibe of Ghetto Bob's when you first see it. But it's definitely different. Even has the Tusk wheels, and then check that out. Suicide Does on a Civic. You can see here all of the white t-shirts. For the young bucks, or, you know, the guys that are kind of coming up in the scene, that's one of the things that's changed. It's like, you know, the shirts used to be very basic designs. Graphic Disorder has changed the game there, but of course, many truckers, we like our black shirts. And that's evident being that we've been selling merchandise. This June is 5 years. I think we started in 2018. There's that S10 again. Whenever we do pre-sales, man, black is always the best seller, even if we offer other colors. So Tony Mallard's S10, obviously it has a GMC front end, but it does say S10, so that's where I get the facts from. You know, there could be typos on that stuff, but I just go by what the data is here. You can see the beautiful model, Melony LaRose. This thing is super sick. It's got Colorado custom wheels. There was a truck, if I remember correctly, from Severed Vegas back in the day. And he had, I think, an extended cab copper color truck. And it always reminded me of this. But this thing is super clean. You know, you've got the exhaust coming out here. Billet wheels, of course. Looks like tinted, you know, front windshield and side glass. You got the tonneau cover. Crazy stereo. So, like, if this truck maybe didn't have the full stereo, maybe it wouldn't have got, you know, a feature spot on the cover. But this thing has it all. So, tip of the cap, Forever Slow. And we can see here, the other thing is when you open the bed up, boom. Super nice stereo. I had briefly looked at this one the other day, knowing it was coming up in a week or so. You can see Forever Low logo there. And man, this thing has it all. The engine bay, it just reinforced that you didn't need to have a crazy engine. I had the same engine in my truck. Albeit that my truck had a lot less features. Like, you know, mine was a 94, so it didn't have the, you know, the ECM and things like that, and where those were mounted. Super clean there. And you can see that was when the taillights became super popular, running those. You got kick panels in there. You got a lot going on. Looks like a VCR, I think, right there. Always loved the bezel all painted. You had the billet inlays and things like that, or the overlay. Pretty cool. Yep, 99 GMC Envoy front end. Another shot there. Trying to kind of take my time with these, not move the camera too quick. It's when you go back and you're watching any of these, you know, it gets a little dizzying. And it looks like a screen right there, something a little different. A lot going on in a regular cab. You can also see the switches right there. So awesome truck. Garden State Nationals, shout out to Phil Fowler and all the kinfolk up in the... Every time I think Garden State, I think Phil Fowler, even though he's, Connecticut. But Finnegan, before, I guess he went on his road trip across the country. Pretty cool stuff. Toyota. A lot of stuff going on in this area. Something crazy here with some Lexus taillights. But good times, man. It's great that we can look back at these magazines and really have the line in the sand for stuff that happened at these shows. An Isuzu with juiced across the cover, and we probably went through that issue. But, definitely lucky to have had this magazine for 25, years, give or take, right around there. Something a little crazy, Face Off. So something a little bit different. And this is Mike Guptar, Guptar. Maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but mini trucking. I think that's where a lot of styles were started with mini trucking. It was things that people did or came up with concepts that, imagine if the body drop wouldn't have been cool. Can't imagine that, but, some things stuck, some things didn't. Hitting switches, so you got Chassis Tech coming out with a new switch box. Again, if you like what we're doing here, check us out via any podcast app. I'd have a hard time believing that you've never heard of a podcast. Nowadays, everyone has a podcast. You can just go to ourlifestylepodcast.com and click on how to listen. Rest in peace to Hal from Godfather Customs. They had a show back in the day, so a couple things here. 93 Ford Ranger, super clean. I remember seeing that in the show coverage. S-10, kind of late 90s, early 2000s style, a Yoda. This thing was super cool. I swear there were two S-10s that were very similar. Brendan Burrell and I have talked about those. This one I saw at Nope 99 or 2000. Got the billet wheels. And super clean. There is the Toyota that we saw, Nissan that we saw that was part of that group cover for, January 2000, and it was later featured. Saw this S10 at Nope as well. That was a severed truck on some 20s and 22s, I think, but kind of cool. Third door, something you didn't see a lot. Certainly some in the scene, but not a lot. And here is Scooby's creation. Remember, I told you it went to a few shows, 2000, 2001-ish, right around there, maybe just 2000. But, these photos will pop up from time to time. The thing was sick. Look at all the smooth floors, four-door, suicide doors, crazy low. Just something that was insane. Speaking of that, you can see the shirt. These were the way the shirt designs were for such a long time. Even like Indie Truck Bash, I've got some of my old shirts, and you just kind of look, and nothing crazy, but it's amazing to see how much things have evolved, with Graphic Disorder kind of pushing the limits. They do all of our stuff, of course. There's the S10 on the Built Specialty wheels. That thing was super clean. Got some photos of it up at Nope. Another S10 here, real clean. Tons of S10s, I know. But, we've seen a lot of different rides and Mazdas and things like that on the cover. So, around 2000, S10s are like popping off. You can see right there. I think it had 20s and 22s on the back. Back when everybody was trying to push the limits and run bigger wheels. Here you can see Cruising's Not a Crime. We did a lot of that riding in the bed of the trucks at Greenville. And it's kind of, depending on the shows you went to, you probably saw a lot of it, or maybe you didn't. But it's definitely good times riding in the bed of a truck. Here's paper cuts. I got a picture of Bill Carlton's dually when he was driving right in front of this at Showfest 2000 when he had the 16s. I think he swapped them out or something. But that was their stage, Assorted miniatures, and pretty cool. When I saw that the other day, I was like, yeah, man, I know that place. So Mini Laughter, so the Naked Gun. You've got top 5 things you do when you've just moved out and have a new job. This is Phil Fowler, I think. I always love when they do those little strips. That's what, for people that are young and they don't remember, that's what film looked like. You know, it had the little thing that when you would click it to the next photo inside, you know, mechanically. And yeah, I think that's Phil Fowler right there. Shout out to Phil. I'm going to link up with him at Mini Nats. Got something for his collection. Do a little bit of horse trading. What's in the CD changer? Top 5 ways to pay homage to the porcelain. God. So riding around, plenty of badass rides here. Again, this would have been important because, you know, you want people to say, hey, my truck's in the magazine, if it couldn't be in show coverage or whatever. Ford Ranger, Blazer, and super clean. Check out that Mazda. Boom. That's North American Nationals. Again, Nationals was a naming convention that was often used. Here is the S-10 again. Ooh la la. Check out that color. Fire. Love it. And super clean Blazer. So definitely appreciate what you guys are, you know, kind of tuning back in here and what you guys do and watch through. It helps us. Mike Finnegan was who wrote this, and then photography, Mini Truckin staff. So this could have been myself or Courtney. So, you know, some features didn't run until a year or two later easily. Talk about designs. There's a little bit different design. And it's hard to tell. Is that a Dakota or an S-10? Kind of illustration. So it's a little hard to tell. I had a couple of those. They would hire companies. Magazine industry would hire companies to go to shows like SEMA. And if you subscribed while you were there, then they would give you a shirt. Here's the S-10 again that we saw earlier. And then there's that photo. What's up? There they've changed the exposure on it. It looks like kind of a negative more, but same photo. A new dog with old tricks. And there's the S-10. Again, I don't know if you guys think I'm crazy, but you look at the windshield, see how it's all clear? You didn't see that very often, even in the old square body S-10s. So when Russ and I would see that, we're like, man, that looks a little different. And I remember trying to get one for my truck that didn't have the glitter strip on it. Didn't seem like I could. The Yoda was super sick. I remember seeing it. Subversive. Sideshow, aka Ahead of You. With whose Tahoe is that? Don't say Craig Elder. Remember, it's Wendy Elder's. I think was on the cover of Street Trucks. Here you see the white t-shirt design there. A couch at a show. Chilling. Issue 110, and you have MIC on the back. So, what do you guys think? Something a little bit different for a cover truck, but super clean, definitely deserving of a cover truck. Now, I did want to mention this. Up to this point, I promised I would talk about this. Up to this point, this was the 14th cover truck with Colorado Custom Wheels. Now, Boyd, up till now, has 9 cover trucks with Boyd wheels. HRBB, you know, that brand, right? Which we knew as Boyd Coddington, I think, up till that point. And then KMC has 6. Now, who's going to win in the end after 269? Of course, you just got to keep it posted to OLP, and I'll try to bake in those anecdotes when I can. Stay on the rise, everyone. Have a safe weekend. Thank you for the support, and always watch the videos all the way through if you can. It helps us out. More to come with ODB's Corner and much more here on OLP, your Mini Truckin headquarters. I'm going to go ahead and flash now if you want to subscribe. If not, hit the link in the bio to buy some merch. You know how we do. We out ya. Peace.